welcome back to Harmony Yoga. Today we're going to do a little restorative class because we know that when we don't give back to ourselves, it's really hard to give to other people. So coming from that idea of filling yourself up so that you can more freely give to other people, we want to come to our mat today, and I'm going to show you some of the props that I have so that you can pause the video and go grab what you need for today's class. So the first thing is, this is kind of a big bolster. This is bigger than really what I meant to buy. So you really could use maybe a king-size pillow or a couple pillows doubled up. So even if you don't have something this big, you can kind of improvise with a couple pillows. And then I have this blanket that is a cotton blanket, so it's not a fleece one that kind of collapses under your weight. But, and this is just kind of a portion of one because this is all I need. But I can fold it up so I can sit my hips on it. But today I'm going to unfold it and use it as well. So even a beach blanket would work just fine. A towel like that would be firm underneath you that you could fold up and use for various purposes. So that's another thing. I've got a couple blocks here. Even a stack of books works if you don't have the actual yoga blocks. And of course, you can always message me for information on how to find those yoga supplies, but they're pretty readily available today, even at Target. And then these are eye bags. This is a weighted bag that I made so I can rest it in my palms. And then I've even got this other sandbag. So anything that you might have that's got a little bit of weight to it. Again, this is a little bit heavier than what I intended. When you buy things online, you don't always know, but you can take the sand out of this to create a little lighter sandbag. The idea that when we put weight on ourselves, it grounds us and actually calms the central nervous system. So if you keep that in mind, even any kind of weight. That's why we love putting pets on our laps, right? Because the pet's weight actually is grounding, or even holding a small child. Why does that make us feel so good? It's part of that, right? Opens our heart and nurtures our soul and calms the central nervous system. So, okay, so feel free to pause the video, go grab the things that you have, improvise as you can, and then don't worry about it, right? We're gonna make it through the class just fine. So the best thing that you can do for your relationships is to keep yourself in balance. And yoga is a great way to keep yourself in balance. It's such a simple practice and has such profound effects, but sometimes we forget to come back to our mat over and over again to keep reinvigorating ourselves and finding that balance. So the one thing that you can do or yoga is the one thing that you can do to root yourself, to ground yourself, to relax yourself, and to connect with your soul. So as you comb through your body today on your mat, finding places that might feel a little bit tense or tight or uncomfortable, or even a little anxiousness with what's going on in our world today, you might come up with some of those things. It's okay. Whatever you find, can we just embrace that? And in that connection with what we feel, we practice being still in the midst of all that is, right? So coming back to yourself. So the first thing we're going to do today is a supported child's pose. So a lot of these things we can just move off the mat for now, kind of out of our way. And the supported child's pose can be done a couple different ways. One would be with the bolster, laying flat over the bolster. But if you don't have something like that, a simple block will do under your forehead. So choosing one of those supported child's pose and connecting with the breath, letting yourself go to the earth. So in whatever child's pose you're in, finding your breath, feeling the parts of the body that are connecting down to the earth, and letting go, and even relaxing to your own breath, or you can place your own music in your ears or just over a speaker. I don't play music because I don't have the music rights. And so you can always play your own soft music alongside this video. the jaw, outstretching your arms if that feels comfortable, or leaving them, the elbows bent. Feel the shins, the knees, tops of the feet. Feel the forehead. Staying here with your breath, noticing what you feel. Letting the bones get heavy and the heart soften. Embrace the quiet of the moment and release into it. Taking your time to slowly walk your hands back, coming out of the child's pose. And then placing your block to the front of your mat. And let's set this block at the medium setting, and this other block here at the lower setting. And turn around here. Coming to rest with your shoulder blades on the lower block and your head resting on the upper block. The soles of your feet can be touching here, or your legs can be out straight, or you can place your feet down about mat width and let the knees fall together. So if this isn't comfortable, feel free to move the block. Typically, if we have the block up too high or too low, it's going to feel uncomfortable. So the flatness of the shoulder blades we want on the flatness of the block. And then the upper block just resting so that our chin is neither tilted or tucked, but the eyes are looking straight up toward the sky. And then close the eyes, and again, connecting with those parts of the body that touch the earth. This would be a perfect opportunity to grab your hand weights and your eye bag. So the eye bag just goes straight over the eyes so that you can still breathe. Even scooched up a little more on your forehead, and it gives that same effect that you just did with your head on a block in child's pose. So that's very calming to the central nervous system, puts us in touch with that inner knowing. And then if you have these are little bean bags really, bean bags in your hands, again, just helps ground and root you to the earth. So today, with all that's spinning around in our world, the political unrest, we can rest in our own peace, connecting to our foundation. All is well, our breath is long and slow and steady. Feeling the feet, the hips, the parts of the body that are on the block, the shoulder blades, the back of the head, and then the forearms and the hands. And once again, connecting into that deep breath. Softening the jaw, relaxing the eyes. If you don't have an eye bag, you can still emulate that by relaxing the eyes, letting the eyes move back into the eye sockets. notice your mind starting to wander, especially if it's something that brings you a little anxiety or a little sadness. Come back to the breath. Take that deep belly breath and keep your awareness on the ebb and flow of the breath. Take another deep breath in and slowly remove the eye bag and the hand weights or whatever, the sandbags, whatever you've got there, and come up. We're going to switch back around to our child's pose. So this time, now you can either take your blanket on top of blocks, that is going to mimic a larger bolster. So placing a blanket on top of that works, or I'll show you here on the bolster. I'm going to take that right between the knees. And then turning your cheek one way. We'll start here for a couple breaths. And then turning the other way. Then we'll rise, placing the left hip next to the bolster, and then rotating so that our chest comes toward the bolster this way, and then my face is going to go that way. Now I'm afraid that I'm going to muffle my microphone if I lay down, so I'll show you one way, and let me show you the other. So this time I'm going to take my right hip down and rotate this way. There we go. Coming to rest here. So pick one side, it doesn't matter which, and we'll stay here for several breaths before we'll turn over to the other side. So resting the forearms onto the earth. If that's too much of a twist, let your head face, you can even stack your hands and rest your forehead this way. So it depends on what you're laying on and how much of a twist that is for you. Closing your eyes and simply enjoy the support of the soft blanket or bolster beneath you. Notice the breath here as it moves against the bolster. And let any tension release on every exhale. Release your weight into the bolster. Notice if you're holding yourself up. You're going to wonder when we can get out of this posture if you're holding a lot of tension here. So either come up and out of the posture altogether, or see if you can let go a little bit more. With my mere suggestion, you might be able to relax into this a little deeper. Where might you feel that tension? Let your awareness comb through the body and see if it can collect any tension here that you no longer need. One more deep breath in. And pushing into the hands, walk yourself up and then come on to the other side. So left hip to the bowl, or whatever the opposite side is for you. The bolster hugs in. Beginning the twist here, so the opposite lung comes toward the bolster, and creating that length in the spine. You can turn your head, or you can keep your forehead on the bolster. And now with the relaxation that you've created on the other side, this side might feel a little easier to let go. to relax, focusing on the breath, especially as the belly presses into the bolster or the blanket. Feeling the parts of the body that are touching the earth. Letting that tension go. The jaw, the eyes, up in the upper back. Making sure the toes are not constricted. Pushing into the hands. Slowly walk yourself back up. Okay, so our next little trick here is taking the blocks again, placing the top one at the medium level and the second one at the lower level. And again, taking a blanket, or in this case, I will use a bolster, but you could definitely take a blanket and fold it. So we're just trying to create this little angle here. And you may have to play around with the blocks to get them to do what you want them to do. And then placing the back of the lower part, your sacrum there, you're going to place that right at the bolster or the blanket. And then taking your unfolded blanket, we're going to place it around the feet, drawing that in. And I want to make sure I'm doing this with the blanket right. How did I notate that? Yeah, here we go. All right, so I'm going to lay down here and feeling this upright posture. The blanket is wrapped around the feet. Opening the arms, palms face up. Feeling the heart become expansive and letting the knees just gently open to the side. Now you can always place something underneath. So you could also place the blanket over the tops of your feet and let the blanket come under your hips. So if that helps support the hips a little bit more, so you don't open too far to create more restriction in your inner thighs. That might feel even better, you guys. Bringing the blanket on the tops of your feet, soles together, opening the knees out to the side, and then open your hands. You can take the eye bag across your eyes and the weights in your hands if you have them, and simply release yourself now to the earth. Being present here for yourself in this time. If your mind is wandering, perhaps you come back to a mantra of all is well, or God is good, or God is in control. Right? I just saw something on Facebook that said if you put your faith in politicians, you're probably going to be a little upset today. Put your faith in God, or the higher power, whatever your faith foundation is, go there. Find the relaxation that comes over you when you let go. Slowly removing the eye bags, removing the blanket. Go ahead and come upright. And then we're going to go to legs up the wall. And I want to just make sure that I've got this wall still in the picture. Yes, I do. Okay, so I need to move this out of the way though so you can see. And you may take your blanket or your whatever you've got there and let's fold it up so it can create a little bit of cushion. And then have that here to the side. So to do legs up the wall, take either hip and just kind of run it up the wall here. And slowly as you come down onto your elbow and you spin your legs up, then you can push your hips closer to the wall. So if you start right at the wall, it's easier to land there when you shift your legs up. So this is an awesome posture for like shifting our perspective, helps with digestion, helps with headaches. Also, if we are always on our feet, sometimes stuff can settle there, that this way we can get back into the lymphatic system, any of that lymph that needs to get into our lymphatic system. So you can stay here, or you can place your feet on the wall, lift your hips, and bring that cushion right under you. I'm going to even fold mine up a little bit higher. And then the idea is that your buttocks are going to flow over the blanket. So I've got a nice curve in my low back, my hips are lifted. This is especially helpful if your hamstrings are tight. If you can, move your inner thighs toward the wall. And then relax. See if you can keep your energy hugging the legs together. If the legs want to start to fall asleep, if this isn't something you're used to, you can bring the soles of the feet to the floor or toward each other. I'm kind of bumping into this little table here, but feel free to move the legs around while you're in this position. Feeling the back of your head. Again, it's not tucked or tilted. So your eyes are looking up toward the sky. And I didn't grab it, but if I had a weight, I could put it on my ankles. That's kind of moving that. In fact, let me do that. Now you're going to be in an upside down position, so you probably can't see me anyway. So finding your comfortable position. And I will come back and join you. So this is a practice that many people do daily. And maybe when you're in bed and you're reading at night, something you can do with the legs up the headboard. It's a little bit tricky to learn how to get into this position, but once you do, an eye bag over your eyes, even those with the sandbags in your hands. You almost need an assistant to grab all the supplies that you need. But you can always rewind, pause the video, whatever you need to get yourself comfortable and in this beneficial pose. Taking that breath all the way down to the belly and knowing that in doing so, you're creating balance. You're creating a calmer central nervous system. And as you let that breath out, it comes out fully. Finding peace in the rhythm of the breath. So I met with a group of women last night online. We pick a word for the year. And we've been doing this now for 5 years. It's really interesting to follow each other's life journeys with respect to a word and how that word shows up for you for the year. So one gal, her word is simple. And she almost thought, oh gosh, maybe that's just too easy. But I really do find joy in the simple things. And I love that. Such a simple posture can bring so much peace and healing to a body. So thinking of Marie today and sending her positive energy and prayers. Thanksgiving for her word, simple. Staying here as long as you like, or bending your knees, hugging them into the chest. If you've got a sandbag over your feet, remove that. Roll onto your side here, grabbing your blanket or your bolster. A block for under your head, a bolster for between your legs, and just rest here for a few moments in this sideways position. And when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position. I'll sit on my block here. Maybe you've got a block handy. I know we've kind of scrambled everything around here. Sitting up nice and tall, and just take a moment to become aware of how you feel after those simple movements today. Deepening the breath. I thank you for taking the time today to be here. Thank yourself for taking the time, bringing the hands in front of the heart and bowing in gratitude for this practice. I offer you peace and joy and blessings. Thank you.